What if I told you that the richest man of his time was destroyed not by poverty, not by his enemies, but by his own pride? This isn't just a story about wealth. This is the story of Qarun. Long ago, in an ancient time, there lived a man named Qarun. He wasn't just any man. His name became a symbol of extreme wealth, power, and knowledge. But his story didn't start with gold, palaces, or servants. In the beginning, Qarun lived among his people as one of them. He had no great fortune, no influence, no authority. He walked the same streets, ate the same food, and lived a simple life. What made Qarun different wasn't his money, but his mind. He was intelligent, curious, and deeply interested in learning. He would spend long hours sitting with scholars, listening carefully, and asking sharp questions. He observed merchants, studied the art of trade, and learned how money moves, how profit is made, and how loss can be avoided. While others were busy chasing quick gains, Qarun focused on understanding the systems behind success. He learned calculation, he learned planning, and most importantly, he learned patience. Slowly, he entered the world of trade. At first, his profits were small, just a handful of coins. But instead of spending them on fleeting pleasures, he reinvested. He bought more goods, expanded his network, and took calculated risks. Again and again, he reinvested, and his wealth grew not suddenly, but steadily, like a river carving its path through stone. Over time, Qarun's knowledge deepened. He learned about hidden treasures, natural resources, and the most efficient methods for extracting and storing wealth. He developed an uncanny ability to see where value was buried, both literally and figuratively. What began as a modest success snowballed into a massive fortune. His wealth multiplied beyond imagination, to the point where he became one of the richest people of his era. It's said that the keys to his treasure rooms were so numerous and heavy, they had to be carried by a group of strong men. But it was at this very moment, at the peak of his success, that something inside him began to change. The wealth that once humbled him, reminding him of his humble beginnings, now elevated him above others, at least in his own eyes. He no longer saw his fortune as a responsibility or a blessing. He saw it as proof that he was superior. Pride, like a quiet poison, entered his heart. He began to admire himself, his intelligence, his strategy, his unmatched success. And slowly, he began to look down on the very people he once lived among. His people noticed this change. They saw how wealth had hardened his heart, replacing his old curiosity with cold arrogance. They feared for him, not because he was rich, but because he was losing his humanity. So, they approached him and advised him gently. They said, "Do not be arrogant. God does not love those who boast. Use what God has given you to seek the reward of the hereafter, but do not forget your share of this world. Be good to others, just as God has been good to you, and do not spread corruption on the earth." These were wise words, balanced words. They didn't tell him to abandon his wealth only, to respect its source and use it for good. But Qarun couldn't hear them. His heart was already full, not with gratitude, but with gold. There was simply no space left for advice. When people asked him about the source of his unbelievable riches, he would reply with cold confidence and dripping pride. "I was given this wealth because of my own knowledge." That single sentence revealed everything. He didn't see his intelligence as a gift. He didn't see opportunity as a mercy. He didn't see his wealth as a test from a higher power. He believed he deserved it all. He had earned it, and it was his alone. One day, Qarun decided it was time to display his true greatness. He paraded through the city, dressed in the finest clothing imaginable, surrounded by a legion of servants. His procession, a dazzling spectacle of luxury and power. The sight was overwhelming. Many people looked at him with wide-eyed envy and whispered, "If only we had what Qarun has. He is truly the most fortunate man alive." But those with wisdom among them saw something else entirely. They looked at the grand display, not with envy, but with sadness. They said, "The reward of God is better for those who believe and do good." Their voices were calm, a quiet ripple of truth, but gold is loud. And in that moment, the glitter of gold drowned out the sound of wisdom. And came the moment no one expected, without warning, without delay. A divine command arrived. The earth, the very ground beneath Qarun's feet, opened up. It swallowed him, his palace, his servants, and all his treasures. The gold that once shined with blinding light disappeared into absolute darkness. The power that once impressed and intimidated people fell completely silent. In his final moments, there were no guards to protect him, no allies to save him, no escape route. He had no one to help him. Neither his vast wealth nor his celebrated knowledge could save him from his fate. The people who had once envied him stood frozen in shock. The spectacle of his pride was replaced by the spectacle of his destruction. And finally, they understood. They looked at the empty space where he once stood and said, "God gives wealth to whom he wills, and takes it away from whom he wills." If God had not been merciful to us, we too could have been destroyed. Qarun's story ended that day, but its lesson did not. He wasn't destroyed because he was rich. He was destroyed because he was arrogant. Wealth itself doesn't destroy people. Forgetting the giver of that wealth does. History doesn't punish the wealthy. It punishes the proud. Qarun believed his success came only from his own intelligence, that his achievements were the result of his effort alone, that his wealth belonged to him by right. In doing so, he denied gratitude, forgot humility, and ignored responsibility. And that was the true beginning of his downfall. His story is a timeless reminder. Knowledge without humility becomes arrogance. Power without gratitude becomes corruption. And wealth without faith becomes a path to destruction. Qarun became a lesson for all generations, a warning that success is not dangerous, but pride always is. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more lessons from history.